Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am blessed and honored to be with you today. We have a phenomenal guest coming to us from Sao Paulo, Brazil. So excited to have this gentleman, Fellipe Cardoso. He's from Zurich Insurance. He manages the global mobility process over there. He's just a very forward-thinking person, very strategic, a big emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and how do we incorporate that into our mobility policies. I'm very excited to hear what he has to say today on these topics. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. And without further ado, let us bring on Fellipe. Fellipe, how are you, sir?
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
I'm
Such
so excited to have you here. And we were just talking in the green room, and I feel your passion and your purpose. And you said something to me, and I just want to start here. And then people are going to be trickling in, and we'll acknowledge them as they come in, and give a like and a heart there for Fellipe. But you said something to me in the green room that stuck with me, and it was that you feel very fortunate that your passion and purpose in life kind of coincides with your profession and you have an opportunity. Can you talk about that? What does that mean?
yeah, I am very fortunate to work with what I believe in. So everything I do because I know it's right, because I deliver what I promise, because I know the how can I position myself within the community I'm in, and it's a positive thing when when you get to combine those things and get paid for it. So it's quite a privilege, I would say, because you would see every day when you wake up from your bed and go to work, even though it's not a good day, because we have like our moods and everything, but you know what you're doing, and you know that you're doing the best you can to change the reality of people. And no, there's no better way to do it, but with development and trying to include people with our strategic process, because you see, like, companies reflect society. It's a microcosm from what we live in our society. In Brazil, if I assume that we have people watching from across the globe. In Brazil, we have so many inequalities. So if you're not doing what you can in your position to do and to change the life of your employees and their families, you're not doing good.
Yeah, and to Felipe's point, and let's go ahead and really quickly, Felipe, and take just a moment to encourage people. Hey, please go ahead. Let us know where you're coming to us from here in the comments. Drop a comment. Give Felipe a shout out. Let us know where you're coming from. We're going to go ahead and acknowledge everybody. We're also going to answer your questions live here with Felipe. So just go ahead and leave it in the comments. Also hit that like button, hit that heart button. We got a bunch of people coming on LinkedIn. Come on in, everybody. It's a party over here. Let's see here. We got a few people coming in, and then let's see. Elizabeth Listman. Hola, Felipe.
A great friend of mine. We've worked together when I was at Unilever and she was at Unilever in North America, and we work in the same team.
I'm getting to know these Unilever people, and they seem awesome. I don't know. What is it about the
Uh,
Unilever people?
Everybody in the world, it's a little bit of a Unilever person, right?
Great. That's fantastic. Simon Johns. Hi, Ben from the UK and Great Britain. Last week, my life was so dull. I missed you. I missed you too, Simon. I was just telling my wife she's no replacement for you, Simon. Tim Quirk, hello, and hola, Ben and Felipe from Western New York. What's up, Tim? Good to see you.
Um,
Patrice, great topic. Thank you. Hello from Hassan Company, Portland, Oregon. Hi, Patrice. Fernando, I'm late. Cheers from Brazil.
you're on time. We just started.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, but so I'm loving these. I'm loving these Brazilians, by the way. Like I did this Latam week a couple of months ago with Janaína, and it just like opened my whole world. And now I got all these Brazilians that I'm like talking to all the time, and like I'm just feel so enriched right now. What is it about the Brazilian people? I feel like an energy from y'all.
You see, I think we are very used to have a Europe-centric perspective of things, because I know that for you, for people that are in the U.S. or people that are in the Europe, everything seems to be the way that things have been forever. But for us here, it's been changing a lot. So I used to say that we don't have straight lines in Latin America, because you always have to do some curves between the one point to another in order to get what you achieve, because you have such you have many influences on what you do. So either if it's from legislation, or if it's from cultural perspective, or if it's only because it's a way of thinking and trying to do different from what you do, but trying to achieve some points that are very common in developed countries, as people say. Even though I question those that name a little bit, because I think everybody is on development, everybody's in the process of development, even though like Europe from 5,000 years of history, they're still developing, and
Right.
there's
And sometimes we go backwards too, it seems like.
well, it's part of the process, right? Sometimes and now if you analyze from a historical perspective, you always see that at some points of our history, we tend to walk back a little, some steps, in order to check better what we are going to, and we have to make some mistakes in order to achieve something. So even though those mistakes brings us to some situations like we have now in Brazil, or in the US with coronavirus, and the way that we are facing the pandemic, and especially from the public service, but it's quite normal to retrograde a little bit instead of just going forward, right?
Yeah, and I want to talk actually about the impact that coronavirus has had on mobility and virtual assignments. I want to get into all that. We got a couple people checking. I want to give some quick shout outs, and then I want to talk about that real quick. We got Dano McCoy coming from Vegas. What's up, Dano? Good to see you, brother. Roberto, let's see. Roberta coming. Felipe is great. That's
She's
great.
a friend, doesn't count.
Yeah, right. Elizabeth, it's after 5. We can have caipirinhas. Janaina, hello, Love and Reload from Rio. Great hair, Ben. Thank you very much, Janaina. I appreciate you very much. Great to see you, Felipe. Tim Quirk. Brazil's going to win the Copa Mundia.
I doubt that.
You're talking to people that actually know. Sorry, you can't just get on here and start sucking up to people in the comments, okay? They actually know what they're talking about. And Tim Quirk, yeah, exactly. Mark Topoleski, there we go. Some shout outs to the caipirinha love there. It's fantastic. He's stirring the pot. Yeah, great. Love it. Love it. So let's talk a little bit though. And I know COVID-19 can be a kind of a downer, but let's not like dwell on the downer, but let's talk about strategically. What does it mean to mobility, and talk about virtual assignments and what you're seeing in terms of virtual assignments, and maybe some opportunities that we might be missing.
We might be missing some things. I don't see a virtual assignment as a reality yet, especially because we've been doing this forever without having the discussion, because I have like matrix manager, and I've been part of a regional team, and I work for Argentina, Chile, Mexico, from Brazil. And I understand that we have implications of how you are transferred to another country and be on their payroll, receiving all those benefits, but it still could be a good thing to think about, because why would you need to transfer someone to another payroll instead of keeping them and just working with intercompany charges and all of that? But
for the people who are uninitiated, who are watching, right, who maybe don't understand virtual assignments, and it's fine. We're a dog-friendly show, by the way. So,
It's my dog. Sorry.
yeah,
I'll ask somebody to come to pick. Just a second. Sorry. Happens. We're home.
yeah, we could do dog cameos as well too. If the dog wants to say hi, sounds like it's probably. I don't know.
No, she keeps barking. She keeps barking to the dogs that are passing by the street because she sees them from our window.
Somebody actually told me that we should do a dog dating show here on Love and Reload because the dogs are getting too cute. No, but so virtual assignments, for people that don't know, explain the concept of virtual assignments and what people are talking about. Because you're right, people have been managing teams overseas for forever. But what is the concept of virtual assignments, just for the people who don't understand?
Well, it's still being built, right? It's still being discussed, but in other words, it would mean that you would be transferred to another country without leaving your own country, but assuming the position from remotely. So you would be receiving you would be granted with a special visa in order for you to have some of the benefits that the company in the host country would provide you with. But it's quite a very it's a gray zone here, right? Because they are still trying to, what from my perspective, and maybe this could sound like a critic, but from my perspective, we are trying to fit the old model in a new one. So instead of thinking, what would we do as a global mobility industry in order to take this industry to another step, facing changes in technology, working with data, and not only transferring people around the globe. What could we do in order to provide them with better resources for them to manage and for them to to perform their jobs, in order instead of only working with this processual part of the process, instead of focusing on visas and tax assistance and settling in and all those very traditional benefits that we offer in our policies. Instead of thinking of that, why we are not discussing how we deal with talent management, how can we help people to develop in their careers and try to maintain relevance in the future, especially the future. We used to say here in Brazil that the future is here, because we use in human resources, you say that we are in a VUCA world: volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And we used to think this from a very distant perspective for something that it would still would need some things to happen in order for us to face that. But it's here. The coronavirus just arrived to show us that everything changed in a blink of an eye, and we are not yet prepared as professionals from the global mobility industry to face some changes. Just to give you an imaginary scenario, right? If in the future we have robots working in factories, and we need to transfer a robot from a country to another country, because the robots that will be working in a factory in this future will have like life insurance. Why can we not offer life insurance to robots? They will need a special visa. How can we work with that? And we are not thinking about it.
My car has life insurance. You know, if you think about it, right? If I wreck my car, right, that's insurance, right? So to your point, yeah. So if you transfer that robot, then do you need a visa to transfer that robot?
I don't know. We have to figure it out, right? We just have to to try to foresee what the changes will be, having the information we have now, and instead of trying to carry all those traditional things, and not because I'm not saying that traditional is it's a bad thing. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we tend to stuck with tradition because we are afraid of the future. And we are afraid of the future because we don't see ourselves in the future the way we think, the way we act right now. So if we don't see ourselves in how can I work with new technologies, what are the technologies that are impacting my position at this moment? What are the 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 trends that are coming from many studies and many best practice around the world that we are not perceiving as a good thing for us at this moment. And instead of doing that, we're just trying to apply some old solutions to new problems.
Well, and I think that that's interesting that you talk about. We look at things from a traditional perspective, because almost out of fear, but it's also, frankly, the only lens that we have, right? I mean, it's what we know, so therefore we look at things based on what our previous experiences have been, and we use those to frame, what we do going forward, how we plan and act, and everything like that. But here we are in this new normal, right? Total paradigm shift, right? Where being in person is rare now. I mean, you're working from home. It looks like I'm in the office for some reason, but here I am. And so, talking about virtual assignments, and I just want to stay on this just for a moment here. People are talking about this, and you're right. People have been doing this for decades, managing people abroad, but what is maybe the reason why virtual assignments, are missing the point? Can you tell me a little bit about, just specifically, why do you believe virtual assignments are missing the point? Because they're really, I don't want to say popular, but they're a hot topic right now. And I don't know that we all buy into it, but yet we're still talking about it. And it's like the old story, the emperor is wearing no clothes, right? I mean, is the emperor wearing no clothes when it comes to virtual assignments?
Yeah, I cannot say if virtual assignments are missing the point, but what it seems to me is that we are focusing on the wrong perspective. Instead of focusing on how we can leverage the performance for the employee that are working on virtual assignment, we are focusing on what we can do to make that happen. It's a reverse logic, right? I should from an innovative process, I should have innovation following what I want to do, and not right. I cannot create innovation and then try to fit that innovation in what I have right now in place for us to develop. So I would say that instead of discussing how can we make virtual assignments possible and a reality soon, because I've seen someone that's written that in the comments. Yes, it will be a reality, but are we thinking about that reality, or just trying to transfer what we know from this very bureaucratic process in order to make that happen, but without thinking what we are trying to make here? Instead of we are focusing on the process to create something, but not thinking on the creation itself.
Yeah, so I think, okay, so I think I'm understanding what you're saying. So instead of focus on the process of moving someone somewhere, or on the tactics of what payroll do they sit on, and what business unit do they report into, think instead on the outcome you want to achieve, and the other stuff doesn't even really matter. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Exactly, because it's very occasional, because legislation changes, technology changes, and process changes. But why do we need someone in another country? Why are we sending this person to another culture? It's just because we want a strategic role and that person has the capabilities and the competences and the skill set in order to perform that job, or just because I am very used to have relocation as a part of how can I say, a status quo process, because we're keeping moving only the same people over and over again, right? And it makes we were talking about this in the green room, that my perspective from global mobility is that we are very elitist. We just
Talk about that. Talk about that, because I think that is a very controversial thing, right? Global mobility is very elitist, and I want to unpack that. I love unpopular opinions. I think there's so much depth in this statement. What do you mean when you say global mobility is very elitist?
Because we keep moving rich people and putting them on a globe, in a glass house, right? Because they see the reality, but they not interact with the reality, and it makes me sad when I see people coming to Brazil and living in some neighborhoods where they are living like they were in their home countries, but not engaging with our society and trying to make it change. Because you have like an ethical response to what you're doing. You're receiving a possibility to live in another culture. You have to engage with that culture and try to change it, not change it from the perspective that I'm going to colonize you and I will make my culture imposed to yours. But it's not like that. But try, how can you engage with the problems that you face, instead of keeping yourself buying the same stuff, going to the same restaurants, and working, living to another expatriate house because okay, it's the same neighborhood. It's almost like a life from the Stepford Wives, right?
Stepford Wives. I thought you were going to say that. Yeah, it is. Well, it's so carefully curated. It's almost like you're not even in another country, right? Because you're right. We take these rich people and we stick them in the best neighborhood in this city. We put them in their kids in an American school, right? And we put them and we give them a driver, and personal security, and it's almost like they're an ambassador or something, and we put them in a bubble, right? To your point. But now I'm gonna argue this point with you, because I love where you're going. But I will say, as an elite person who is scared to death of going to another country and not having a driver or security person, right? Don't we have the whole duty of care argument, right? And also so there's two things. There's the duty of care argument, which says, God forbid this person gets kidnapped or something happens to them. And then, oh, by the way, we also have to make this a palatable experience. They have to want to go, right? So isn't it incumbent on us as global mobility providers to facilitate these two things?
Yeah, I'll get to your question, but I will ask you something first. Why do I need a driver or a special neighborhood in Brazil? And why don't I need a driver or a special neighborhood in the United States? Because you can get shot in the United States at any time.
Yes, you could get shot in the night. Right. Why? So if you're moving to Detroit,
So
you don't get a driver,
why
but
you
you
need
move to
it in
Rio, you
Brazil?
get a driver. Yeah.
Exactly.
No,
It's always the same problems, of
you're
course.
right. It's
In different
It's probably a
countries,
little bit of xenophobia and racism, to be honest with you.
probably. I cannot say that all expatriates are racist or elitist, but from a cultural perspective, from our industry, we are not doing the right way. We are giving them what they want to feel special, what they want to feel that they are above in a social status compared to the other people. So I am your CEO. I have the power. I'm going to Brazil and I will live the way I want to live, and I will not engage with any of the problems with the country I run. And it's not good. But it's not because the person wants that. Maybe it's like an unconscious bias or something. It's just because the industry makes them think like that. If you go back in the past years, mobility and all the expatriates were considered the best and the brightest in order because they received a lot of benefits, and it supposed to be an opportunity for them to get rich, for them to make their savings, because they will receive colas and hardship allowances and everything that's related to what we do, and housing allowances of, like, I've seen people here in Brazil paying housing allowance of 30, 40K Brazilian reals. How it, that person hasn't asked herself, it's themselves, is that right? So there are people here living with like less of $1 a day, and I am receiving a housing allowance of 40, like maybe how much is that in dollars? Like $20,000 in housing allowance per month.
Wow.
So it's something very, very strange in our industry that we keep reinforcing in order to keep the status quo, because we like the power. We like to be related to people in power because it makes us feel special too.
Wow, I think that's like the biggest global mobility guilt trip I've ever been on, because it's true though. It's like we're all complicit in this game where we go to other countries and yet we don't actually immerse ourselves. And I've had so many cultural experts on here say the same thing. They say, you know, you really should, for the benefit of you and the benefit of the business, you should really immerse yourself in the culture. That means meeting people. That means making friends. I mean, learning the language. I mean, I'll be honest, as a person, if I were to consider an overseas assignment, my first question is, okay, can I speak English? Okay. Second is, okay, what kind of place is me and my family going to live in? And i.e., is it as close to America as possible? Does it have air conditioning? Does it have large kitchens and, you know, all the creature comforts that we're accustomed to in this country, right? You know, otherwise, I don't know that I can convince my family to do it. Now, it's what I think I want, but is it what I really want or what I really need as a human being and as a person? I mean, I don't know. But I think it's a fascinating point you bring up. Now, let me ask you this. I want to. So we got some comments coming in right here based on this. This is when it gets really, really fun here. Let's go ahead and say what's up to everybody here. We got Jamie coming in from Mississippi. Victoria, welcome, Felipe. Tim Quirk, shouting out Juliana. My dad's in the comments right here.
Hi, Dad.
Love it. Yeah, my dad shaved his head for you. Yeah, Ellen. Just saw a resemblance. We got Katie here coming in. This is such a beautiful country. Franklin talking about pack outs. A bunch of people loving the dog here. That's great.
I did let my dog out.
You're talking about the definition of virtual assignments. Let's see here. You know what? This is interesting here. So people are saying, "Wow, I've never heard that." When we talk about, you know, elitism, you know, it's great to hear someone talking about that. I told you, Felipe is very good. People are taking responsibility for all your great ideas already. This is wonderful. Janaina said, "Would you say that this is changing with the new generations? That the assignees are looking for real experiences in a new country?"
Yes, I think new generations are looking for different things that we used to look for in the past. They are looking for experiences. They are looking for personal experiences and how they engage and how they face changes and how they see them reflected in that changes, especially because of that sense of community that we have seen increase after the social networks. And we are trying to engage with companies that are environmental correct and that are engaged with social problems and that have like a very, very strong definition of their statement of purpose and values. And I keep asking myself if especially for insurance, because I work for insurance industry, and you see, insurance is not sexy. Nobody when they were a teenager was dreaming of, oh, when I want to work with insurance. Nobody does that. So
that's funny. Yeah.
I keep asking myself why the new generations would like to work with us. Why the new generation would like to work for an insurance company? It's insurance only working with the protection side of the business, or we are working with the prevention side of the business? How we can keep people feeling safe just because they're living, right? Life is that. It's you are at stake at all times. And how can you feel safe and probably live in your maximal potential because you feel protected, because you feel inspired by what you do? And I think they are looking for and challenging us in order to think, how can I maintain the relevance of my business in this new situation? And I think we are now in the transition moment, because we see that normally the executive layer of our hierarchy is formed by Gen Z, or not Gen Z, Gen X, or baby boomers, Gen Y maybe, but the entrance, like the first positions, the first layer of positions are all filled with those new people coming from different education and different purposes, and trying to say, okay, you're not going to fit me in your model. And if you try to do that, I will walk out this company and will work for another company, because I'm not attached to a brand anymore. It's just a way for me to express what I feel and to express what I believe in. And if you're not giving that in return, I'm not doing what you asked me, because it's not worth it.
So I want to go off on that tangent for a second, okay? And I have so many thoughts about where we were, but I want to go here because I this resonates with me so much, right? As someone who breaks the mold myself, right? And yet still, we all want to be accepted. We all want to feel appreciated and respected, and to achieve self-actualization. But I do agree with you that today's generation does not seem to be as willing to compromise on who they are and what they stand for and what their purpose is as previous generations. It used to be that you sold out and you got a career and you were going to just be a corporate cookie cutter, cog in the wheel, right? And now I feel people want to be individuals. They want to be understood. They want to be seen. And they want to be their whole selves and bring that to work and be accepted and appreciated for that diversity. And I want to, you talked about how what the talent today is requiring from their company, and requiring those things, and to be seen and to be accepted and to be allowed to be themselves. How are companies of the future going to win when it comes to talent and embracing people in the way that you described?
Not First of all, we cannot come from a standpoint that we believe that money will solve everything, because it won't. I've seen people in my company, instead of accepting a promotion or accepting even expatriation, going to another country, trying to exchange that opportunity in order to receive like a higher education or degree, or trying to have like 1 year of a sabbatical year in order to go to some place to do voluntary work, and then return to apply all the skills and the abilities, the capabilities that they were able to learn while they were on that sabbatical year. So we are facing a level of personalization or customization of our policies that we cannot afford to be looking at our employees from as a definitive profile. You see, we used to put people in boxes, and that's what we do, especially in human resources. When you do the talent reviews, for example, some people use the 9 box methodologies. Some people use the 4-box methodology, and they all try to fit people in some boxes, looking for their development. And of course, everybody has different opinions, and everybody has different aspirations in their lives, and they're trying to communicate that with you, and you're saying, no, for you to have success in our company, you have to be expatriate to the United States or to the United Kingdom or to Switzerland, because Zurich is a Swiss company. And we keep reinforcing that speech instead of just listening. Maybe that person wants to stay here with their family, but wants to engage with our voluntary or social responsibility program, or just want to engage in a new project creation process in order to provide some things that we still don't provide, or just keeping up with the trends, and trying to innovate and to present things, and receiving all the support they can in order to feel able to do that. So I think it's more about the development opportunities than the opportunities of receiving that much money. Of course, money, if you want to give me, I would accept it. But
But there's always strings attached, though, right, Felipe?
exactly. I wouldn't accept anything. It's just not because of the money. It's not worthy. I don't want a trail, as I would say here in Brazil. I want to do that, but I don't want to leave a trail of blood behind me. I want to do in the right way. I want to focus on what I do, and if it's not with Zurich, it's with another company, and it's or even it's by myself, because I could be an entrepreneur and trying to create a startup and starting a new business that will make a revolution where when it comes up. So it's always it's more about the experience you offer and how this is linked to their personal purpose. And this is very, very important to say, because we started our conversation today talking about purpose and talking about how I feel blessed to be in a position where I can execute that purpose on a daily basis, right? And I wouldn't change my current job for, like, if you offer me, I don't know, maybe 100% increase.
Can we get some job offers in the comments for Felipe, and let's just test this theory right now?
You could. I might accept it, because I could believe in what you're saying, but it's not at
Right.
any cost anymore, right? You're not willing to pay anything, because time is the main commodity right now. So you don't have time to spare. You don't have time to waste on experiences that will not bring some enlightenment to your life.
But no, I think what you're saying is so interesting, right? Because we all look for that 10%, 20%, raise, let's say, right? But then I hear about companies like Google that say, okay, take 20% of your week, one day a week, and work on a passion project of your liking. Follow your passion, follow your curiosity, follow your interest, and go work on that, and I think just that kind of a leeway, or that kind of an allowance to go and follow your passion. You talked about, maybe working in the corporate sustainability arm, or taking a sabbatical, or going to pursue education. I think all of these are things that we have to look at. Now, I think overseas assignments, a lot of people have been arguing, are one of those perks and benefits that companies can offer to, especially the younger people, who are looking to kind of round out their experiences. But I think all this is really fascinating. Tim Court brings up a great question here in the comments, which is so rare. So let's just highlight it for a moment. Tim says, I think previous generations sold out because the company took care of them for life. So it was a small price to play. Once companies stopped taking care of employees for life, people said no more. So has the social contract, has the corporate contract changed in that way?
It has changed, but I'm sort of disagree with Tim when he says that once companies stop taking care of employees for life, people said no more, because we are offering now different different benefits, I would say, and that will last forever, right? It's not only because I will keep paying your housing, or I will keep paying your schooling for your children until they are 20, 21 years old. It's not. I don't think it's because of that. It's just because we have a different mindset from the that generation. That generation was built in order for them to succeed, and the career at that time was defined by uh, how fast and how high you can get in the organization, right? Because it's something related to how you can how can you how can I say that, how can you
Advance.
now, it's how can you show people that you have power over them.
Hmm.
And how can you show that you have power over them? Is if you have like a management position, because you can tell people what to do, or if you have money. So if you have money, you are like in a different perspective, not part of the social normativity thing. And if you execute your power through money or through your position, you're missing the point that your career is going to take you to wherever you want, because it reflects on how you live your life and not why you live your life for.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think what one of the things you're saying here is that you can lead people through influence and without necessarily having authority in a company. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. But to Tim's point, I think what Tim's saying, and I think I know where Tim's coming from, because I think his dad worked for Eastman Kodak up in Rochester and was a company guy forever, and probably got a pension when he retired, right? And all that retirement plan was tied to the company, and now it's 401ks, and nobody gets a pension, at least here in the United States. And I think so that's changed, right? And so we look at these generations. Millennials have been highly criticized for being job hoppers, right, and disloyal to the company. But millennials have also learned from their parents that the companies are not loyal to them either. And therefore, they understand, eyes wide open, they understand what the relationship truly is. And then I think because they understand that, they say, okay, I'm going to go look for another job before you look for another employee. And I think they understand the best way to get a raise is to transfer companies. So I think what Tim is saying has merit. I think that going back to your idea there, spot on, Eastman Kodak. See, Tim, I was listening all those years ago when you were telling me those stories about your dad. Um, but I want to go to something that oh, we got some good comments here. Oh, really quickly. Okay, here. Let's see here. We got Christian Hufalo checking in here. Jack Jampel, always got to shout out Jack. All right, Jack's always gets his time in the sun here. Jack says, I think it's difficult to immerse into culture without a mentor. So he's going back to our original mobility
Mhm,
is elitist, right? We send people
mhm.
over, we protect them in this little bubble. He says, I think it's difficult to immerse into a culture without a mentor. We talk about it like it should be easily done. However, if a company believes that it is very important to the success of the assignment, companies would do more, such as assigning a mentor. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't say that the companies were excused of offering any of the benefits that we need to offer for them to feel like part of the culture they are in. I'm just asking if we are delivering the benefits that we need to deliver, because you see, some time ago it was very common for us to offer intercultural course or training for people that were going to another country, and those at least for some of the companies I knew back then, it comes to presenting like the neighborhood and saying, okay, Brazilians are different from the Germans because we can be late to a meeting, so don't freak out if somebody is 10 minutes late because it's the cultural thing, that kind of thing. But it only gives you some very stereotyped
It's just kind of superficial, kind of.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't provide that immersive culture, and I agree. It's very easy if you have a mentor for you to know. So if I travel alone a lot, I used to because I'm at home now for 6 months already. So I used to travel alone, and it's very uncomfortable for you to be in some places where you don't see a resemblance of your own culture, because you feel like exposed. You feel very very fragile in a certain way, because you are almost feeling like you in the middle of jungle, and cannibals are coming in and they will take you, put you in a pot, and
That's why we need a driver. That's why we need gated communities. That's why.
but it's not that way, right? It's easier if you have like a mindset open for you to be an apprentice, for you to, okay, I will forget everything I know, I will forget everything I know about comfort, from about comfort. I will forget everything about what I know from, like, I lived in Spain for 3 years. When I went to Spain, I used to think that Spain was flamenco, tapas, and what else? Football, soccer.
Yeah.
And it's not that. Like it's a small country compared to the Brazilian size of our territory, but it's an immense country culturally. If you get to know the other parts of the country and try to understand that people in the north side of the country are more how can I say that, they are more not, they are not flexible the way that the people from the south is. They don't relate with you and that easily, right? You don't make friends that easy. If you go to south, if you go to Malaga, or if you go to Sevilla, it's different, because people is like, okay, come on, it's like Brazil, right? You come here, you can stay at my home, you be here for the whole week, and that's fine. And I just met you yesterday.
Yeah, sounds great. I'm in. Let's do it.
And
One of
people,
the things that you said before, though, that I want to call out, because I think it's important to answer Jack's question here, is instead of waiting to be assigned a mentor, we have to become apprentices. I think I kind of pulled that out of what you're saying, and to become an apprentice, and to basically to be open to be mentored and led and acculturated, and I think, but we don't allow ourselves to do that unless we leave our bubble, right? Because
exactly.
the apprentice never comes in the bubble on the red carpet, right? The apprentice comes humbly.
Yeah, one of the, you used to say here, I designed a workshop for talent development here at Zurich, Brazil, that we say that we have 5 principles of growing and developing, which is the first is your responsibility, nobody else's. Don't outsource your responsibility. It's
so key, because so many people say, hey, develop me, give me coaching, give me, or they expect it to happen, but they have to go be proactive in it.
Exactly. You have to tell me what you want, because I can provide you with things, but for me to provide you with the right things, you have to tell me what you want. It's your responsibility to think about it. It's not my responsibility to say, okay, next month I will move you from Brazil to Chile, because in Chile you'll be like developed in that position, and after 2 years we'll come to Brazil and we'll be like a regional director for something. It's not on me to say that. It's on you to say, like, okay, I want to be a regional director at some point in my career. What can you do? What's the plan here? Okay, and so start talking. You can share that responsibility, but it's not, you cannot outsource your responsibility to another people, to your manager or to your HR or to whatever.
Right.
So the first principle is it's your responsibility. The second principle is you don't grow in your comfort zone. You have to be out of your comfort zone to grow. You won't learn anything if you keep on your own bubble. You have to step out. And after a while, after you are out of your comfort zone, you are already used to that challenge, and you are again in your comfort zone, because that's the movement, right? We are out of the comfort zone, we work and try to be developed, and then you are on a comfort zone again.
And to your point, right? I mean, people, I think we take these assignments, these expats go on these assignments, and we think we're going outside our comfort zone. But if we just recreate our home country environment around us and insulate ourselves again, are we really going outside of our comfort zone? Not. I'd argue maybe we're not.
Like, if I tell you how many Brazilians I knew that are living abroad, that, I don't know, travels 1 hour or 2 hours to get the same soap to make their to have their laundry, the same soap that they buy here in Brazil, you would be like amazed by how many Brazilians I know that keep buying the same brand because they used to do this here in Brazil.
Yes.
So it's something very, very strange for me.
But let's also be practical here, right? Because and I'm going to argue the practical side of this. People watching this might be global mobility professionals whose job it is to create benefits and programs that attract people to these regions, right? And I mean, we have to sell it to people, right? And it's like, we got to sell it as it's somehow a increase in quality of life, right? I mean, quality of life issues, at least in my perspective, this is my opinion now, you could tell me I'm wrong, but to me, it's got to be an increase in quality of life and career opportunities. And that's a hard sell, I think, unless you create the bubble.
Not sure, because if you connect what you create with other things that you have in human resources management, if you connect that with a good compensation structure, if you connect that with the corporate education, if you connect that with opportunities for you to develop yourself and to see recognized and promoted, if you connect everything, you would have better chances to sell it, especially if you're offering, and we said that already, if you're offering some level of customization of what they need. Okay, you can have a policy, which is a common ground for everybody, but you are able to adapt that policy in order to meet the expectations for the people that are seeking the benefits from that policy. So I think that we are missing an opportunity here as a global mobility industry to promote not only development to people that are being expatriated, but we are missing an opportunity to work on inclusion. We are working on how we can give people opportunity to feel included and feel part of something, and not only living in that bubble because the bubble is great. And of course, I have everything. If I can, James, I will have the orange juice in my hand like in 2 minutes. No, it's not like that.
Peanut butter. We need peanut butter. That's what Americans want to hear. But Jamie makes a great point. I'm curious how corporate leaders can relate to their own employees if they relocate to a new country but don't engage in the culture. I mean, do you see this as a leadership opportunity as well, that it impacts leadership? And then I want to talk about inclusion.
Yeah, but I keep thinking that why we need to be somewhere in order to engage with that culture, right? I mean, it's almost 7 years, eight years since I came back from Spain, and I'm still engaged with that company. Okay, I was there. But even before I went to Spain, I was engaged with that culture too, because it interests me. So I see it's easier if the person is in local, right? It's on spot in that country for them to engage and And
how do we create those organic opportunities? Like I mean, right now I'm engaging with you. Your Brazilian culture. We have Brazil, a lot of Brazil here, you know, with my Brazilian friends, right? And I've gone out of my way because I was told, frankly, that I need to broaden my scope and I need to say, hey, this is not just a US thing. This is a global thing. And oh, by the way, Brazil has some really exciting stuff going on, some really exciting professionals. You need to go check it out. And I said, okay, I'm gonna go check it out. And I loved it. And I now have a curiosity around it. And now we have friendships and relationships. And I hope to grow for years and years around this and hopefully make a trip down there and stay on your couch one day. But my point is, you know, how does just the layperson that doesn't have a talk show, how do they go and create immersive experiences in Brazil?
well, that's a very easy question for me to answer, because it's not because it's not easy to have that competence. It's not easy to have that skill set already in place. You have to develop it. But if you are curious enough, you will know the culture. If you are curious enough, you will know the culture by talking to other people, by, I don't know, going to a different restaurant instead of going to the McDonald's or to Wendy's or whatever,
Right.
every single time. So if you're open to know different places and different people, you will get to understand what it's all about.
Yeah.
And you see, I really like movies, and I know that people in the United States don't like subtitled movies. Reason why I was so happy that Parasite won the Oscar this year, because it's like an international movie, and it won best picture. But you see, if you are accommodated in your own perspective, watching the same stuff instead of like, let's see what Brazil has to offer in terms of movies, or let's see what Argentina has to offer, or South Korea, or whatever. Let's see what stories are people telling. So try
Give me
that.
a Brazilian movie recommendation, because I want to go. Give me a Brazilian movie recommendation. I remember back in college, I watched City of God, something a little less violent.
It's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah.
But like last year in the Cannes Film Festival in France, we won two of the best prizes with Bacurau, which is a movie like a Western, very critical about the social relations that we develop with foreign countries here in Brazil. And the other one was The Invisible Life. I think it's on Amazon right now, The Invisible Life, and it's a melodrama. It's very passionate, and it's very beautiful how they develop the story of a woman in the 50s here in Brazil that have their future cut off because their father was sexist and didn't want her to play the piano and go to Austria, and she had it's very good. So of course, all those movies are telling a perspective, are showing a cut from the reality, from a perspective of the people that wrote them and directed them. But you understand what's a lot about, and try, okay, let me see another thing, let me read about this, let me read that book, let me talk to someone I know from the company, and let me reach out to Fellipe and say, it's like that, it's really like that. So like if you ask like City of God, it's really like that.
What would you say if I said, "Is it really like that?" What are you gonna say?
Sometimes.
I'm gonna say, I need a driver, I need a gated community, and I need to live in a bubble. Thank you very much.
Sometimes, but you are not living in that same
Nah,
same.
not in the favelas, right? So,
Exactly.
I want to move real quick because we don't have a lot of time, but I want to really talk about this, and I think cinema is a great way to pivot into this. Okay, one of the big things in the United States right now is about getting more women directors, because we realize that we are just telling the story through the eyes of white men in this country overwhelmingly. I want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know this is a passion for you. Why is this so important to you, and how do you weave it into global mobility?
it all comes from the perception you have from the environment you are part of, right? I'm part of a country where we have lots of social inequalities, when we have more than 50% of our population that is that's people of color, that we were the last country in the world to abolish the slavery in the 19th century. And when we did that, we didn't offer them the opportunity to get educated and to have jobs. So that's why the favelas were created back then. It's not a recent thing. It's
Wow.
hundreds years ago, because we gave freedom, because they were not okay, it's another discussion, but we give people of color freedom in Brazil, but we didn't give them
Access to opportunity.
the opportunities to live a better life. So we have 57% of our population is people of color, and they are not receiving good education. They are not having the same opportunities that I had when I was being raised by my mom and by my dad. And it's part of our culture to say that if I have a development program, if I have a talent program, or if I have a mobility program in my hands, I will make use of that to give the opportunities some of those people didn't have.
Yeah.
So I will, okay, if you're coming to work with me, but you don't have English, I will provide you with the English training, because technical skills, you can learn from it. Like you can learn, you don't have of course, like behavior, you can also adapt yourself and learn how to behave and all of that, but technical things are easier for you to learn. So I will compensate what our society doesn't do for you, and I will compensate you by giving you the opportunities for you to, okay, you're not that good at this point in time, but I see your potential, and I will invest on you. I will invest on your training. I will give you the opportunities, and if I have to send you to another country in order for you to keep growing your career, I will send you, if you want to, of course, if
Sure.
it's part of your aspiration. So we need to make room to talk about what we can do. If we are like relocating same-sex couples to, let's say, I don't know, Saudi Arabia or whatever, that homosexuality is still a forbidden thing, or like Malaysia or something like that. It's on law, or you can go to jail just because of who you are. And what type of benefits, not only benefits, but what type of things that we as a company are creating in order for them to feel developed, safe, and not going back to the closet just because the country where they are said so, right? How can I try to combine cultures in order for them? It's perfectly fine for you to live in Malaysia for a certain period of time, because I will have your back as a company.
Yeah, so help us understand. So those of us who are watching this right now, who might impact policy and be able to influence policy, for mobility and otherwise, maybe in other HR functions, let's say within our companies, what are some of the practical steps that we can take to foster diversity, equity, and inclusion in our policies for our mobile population and maybe just for our home population?
Listen to your employees. Listen to what are their pain points. So if you are moving same-sex couples for some countries where it's not, to some countries where it's not allowed to have homosexuals, declared homosexuals, you will have to think about it, because if it's very important for you, is strategically thinking, and also important to that person is strategically thinking to have that person in that country, you have to think about, how can I provide a visa to his companion or to her companion, because the country doesn't recognize the relationship. So there is no such thing as a dependent visa, right? But how are you really going to split that family? Are you really going to say, okay, I want you there, but your companion, your partner will have to stay in Brazil like for 7 years, or I don't know, 3 years, 2 years?
Right.
What?
Well, and it's true. I mean, because I think the company might say, you know, they might say that's not my problem, but they wouldn't say that necessarily for a heterosexual couple. They wouldn't say that for a man and a woman, what, you know, a traditional, you know, family, right? So why would they say that for you know, a homosexual couple? I think that's really interesting. You know, what about hardship allowances in situations like that? would that ever be considered a hardship allowance if you had someone who was a same-sex couple going to a non-friendly country?
I will go back just a little bit on what you said, because I've heard this before. And whenever we have a company saying, that's not my problem, that company, it's not my company. At the same time, I heard that, because I've seen a lot of effort of companies that companies made in order to move wives,
Mm-hmm.
sexual partners, or I don't know, maybe even though nannies, because you see, like some people that have children and they would like to bring the nanny
Right.
from country to Brazil, and here we don't have a special visa for that, so it's quite difficult for people to bring nannies to Brazil. I've seen lots of companies doing beyond what they can do for that to happen. How
Right.
can a company say that that's not my problem? It's no, I wouldn't accept that at all. And I would invite all of you that are listening to us right now to think about that, because it could represent a lot of our bias, a lot of our prejudices. And we normally say, I'm not racist, but yes, we are. At some level, we are. We all, especially white people, we are all part from a systemic racism structure. So you have to think about it, because you will have to question yourself why it's not the company problem now, but it was like 2 cases before. And to your point on hardship allowance, how can you assess hardship with reference to what, to where? Because you say like, okay, Venezuela or Brazil has like 10%, 15%, 20% from like a Mercer table or Air Inc table or something like that that we receive, but with reference to what country?
Hmm.
What
I would
country?
think it would be I would think it would be the home country, but I don't know.
Yes, but like the home country to have their own assessment had to be compared to another country.
Ah,
Say, how
yeah,
can you say like, okay, Britain has 0% on the table for hardship allowance, but Brazil has 30.
yeah, right, right.
There's a lot of things that we
Well,
need.
what's the basis of comparison? And when we unpack and when we answer the question, what is the basis of comparison? That's when we also uncover our own bias, right? To say
Exactly.
what is normal. That's our baseline. What is normal, but what is normal? And then we answer the question about bias, I think. So.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been so amazing, Felipe. We've got a few people. I just want to say, you know, just really quickly who have checked in, just to shout them out because they were so kind as to leave comments. By the way, if you're watching this, give Felipe a like, throw a little love and reload heart down there for him as well. Monica checking in here. You know, Monica with the curiosity, love it. Everybody's loving that. Janaina has a question as well. Gosh, this will have to be our last question, Janaina, just because I love you so much. I'm going to ask this question. You mentioned that people travel to Brazil and do not experience the real culture, but you are saying we can engage by researching about it. Wouldn't that be superficial?
It would be if you stay at that point. It's a starting point, right? You have to start somewhere. So you don't have to be in Brazil to know Brazil. Of course, you are welcome to come here if you want to come and
The
to
second time you invited me, I'm coming. I'm coming.
as soon as coronavirus is over, you can come. Right now, it's quite chaotic here. Like it's quite chaotic. So as a starting point. Of course, if you remain on your researches, it will be superficial. But you have to keep, like someone said, I think it was Monica, something, I think it was her who said that curiosity will take you wherever, right? If you show curiosity, then locals will embrace you. Not only locals, yourself too. Like you self embrace, because you feel that butterflies on your stomach, that when you start learning something, when you start getting to know something, and you feel excited about it, and you feel very open to new experiences, and very open to change yourself, right? Life is movement. As soon as we stop moving, we are dead.
That's right.
So as long as you stay getting to know people and experiences, but keep going, keep curious, and keep your integrity, because I see Miko here, Miko's comment, integrity is imperative. Yes, but your integrity. Don't expect someone to tell you what is integrity, right? Because otherwise we would have a lot of things that will return to the 18th century or something like that, because I don't know, people.
Yeah. To thine own self be true is what Shakespeare wrote, and I think that's great to remember. I want to just give you a last word, Fellipe. I've been asking all the questions and kind of directing this, but really I wanted to allow you to leave us with a final thought with our audience. Go ahead.
I might be not the most popular person you're receiving here, but I am truly passionate about what we do and how we can change the world we live in. It's not only a matter of speech. I try to do this every single day on my activities when I wake up in the morning, and I keep asking myself what I can do differently today, and how can I impact someone's life today, and through what I do. So I would invite everybody to do the same. So stop looking at the same things with the same eyes. Just have different eyes every time you look at something, like the children. So when you were walking in a park with a child, and the child looks to the tree and say, "Oh, the leaf is green." She's so amazed because she just looked at that leaf differently, and it was there forever. So
Right.
it's just changing the perspective, and be open, and be curious, and keep respecting, and do not forget to be patient with yourself. Well said, Monica. Because being developed and grow, nurturing your process of growing takes a lot of resilience and patience. So be kind to yourself.
Well said, Fellipe. Fellipe, thank you so much. This has been really wonderful. I love your perspective. I love the way that you take your opportunity and your position, and you actively look at ways for you to help other people. And I think that really speaks to your character and your integrity. And you're always going to be popular with me just for that reason alone. So thank you so much for being with us today, Fellipe.
I thank you. Thank you so much for you. You and Janet were so kind to me. Thank you so much for having, and all the people that have been listening to us. Thank you for giving us your time, which is the most precious things right now.
That's right. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for everybody that was in the comments. If you haven't already, leave a like, hit a little heart for Fellipe. And then also don't forget to tune in tomorrow, 4:00 Eastern. We have Paul Seymour from Bristol Global Mobility. We have Gabby from Rockwell Automation on Thursday. And on Friday, we have a special Hunger Action Month show with my co-host Tanya Maritini and a whole bunch of wonderful hunger relief experts here in the United States to talk about how we can all pitch in and help right now. So thanks everybody for tuning in.